Hello, welcome everybody. I am so happy that you are here with us today. I am Terrie Silverman. I'm a writer, storyteller, director, and founder of Creative Rites Workshops and Coaching. I welcome you to Conversations to Inspire, interviews with writers in which we discuss how fear and courage are part of the creative process. And today I have the very fierce and wonderful Shana Melissa Stockman. She's worked in the health field for 30 years. So I believe she must have started when she was 4. She is a registered nurse, and she is also the publisher of the multi-author book, Overcoming Obstacles, as well as a contributor in the book we are both in, Sacred ReDesign. Welcome, Shana. And
Hi, thank you for having me.
Shana is coming to us from New York. So my first question to you, Shana, is what motivated you to write?
Ooh, that was good. Oh, I didn't anticipate that one. I think for me, I was always a shy child, and it's time my voice be heard. I have a lot to say, and I think a lot of people need to know about it. And a book is a great way to you to get your message out to people you normally wouldn't have, to other states, other countries, other continents, your friends' friends. It's a great.
So was there a catalyst of, oh, I have to write now? What was the catalyst for the book?
Okay, so years ago, I was asked to do a chapter in a book. I was a medical director of a nonprofit, and I had no time. I was like, thank you, graciously declined. And then a few years ago, a friend acknowledged me in her book. That started it. Then a celebrity asked me to be in their book. And then I decided their publisher reached out to me, loved my book idea, and is like, whoa, you need your own book here. So that started me. And then I decided I wanted a real quality work. So I fired the publisher. I fired a few more after that. And now I have the dream team that I need.
So that's amazing, in that it was really organic and it was step by step, and it seems like you kept being pushed towards that.
Yes, yes. And I think that a chapter in someone else's book was good to get my feet wet, but I had so much to say. I needed my own book and my own topics.
And how did you give yourself permission to write and say everything that you wanted and needed to say?
I looked at it like this, and maybe Dr. Seuss said this best. Yes, I'm going to quote Dr. Seuss. I believe he said something like, those that mind don't matter anyway, and those that don't matter, basically, like, I just want to be my genuine self. Those that don't like me, I don't care about you. Those that like me, those are the type I want to stick around and attract, those that support me. Not everyone's going to like everything everyone has to say. So why try to please them anyway? You're never going to please everyone. So I just want to be me. If you like me, great. I love you. If not, no harm. I still love you, but you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to read me.
So absolute fearlessness and so much confidence.
Sometimes, not all the time.
And so with that, what fears or doubts arose around the writing process for you, for your book?
The writing process. Okay, a lot of people always worry what other people think. Is this going to appeal to the reader? Is this going to appeal to the audience? I was always that people pleaser, but I feel like there's certain messages I have, and if it's for you, you can receive it. If not for you, you don't have to. So I don't want to necessarily just appeal and tell the audience what they want to hear. Sometimes we need to tell them what they need to hear. Like me as the medical professional, when they're overweight and high blood pressure, they might want me to say, here, just take this blood pressure pill. But no, I'm going to tell them what they need to hear. Listen, if you drop 20 pounds, you don't need the pill. So I'm going to be the truth teller. They might not like it at the time, but I think after the fact, they'll appreciate it.
So was it that the message took over any fears or doubts? Because it sounds like you didn't have fears or doubts as you were writing. It was really just how connected you are to how important your message is.
Yes, I think the stronger your message, the less you'll worry about what other people think. And sometimes it could be very scary because you worry there's people out there, family, friends that don't know your story and might hear things and you don't know if it's going to turn them on or turn them off. But I look at it like this, those true friends are going to be there for you no matter what. And, so yeah, I guess I was a little fearless. Not in the beginning though, but I think that maybe comes with time and confidence. And maybe the more that I wrote and the more what I was accepted, the more it seemed they wanted to hear. And now they're like, when are you coming out with your next book? Can I be in your next one? So I think the confidence kind of probably didn't start in the beginning in hindsight, but it built up. It's like anything else. The more you do it, the more confident you get at it.
So can you remember the first thing that you wrote? What came up around that?
Hmm.
What were the
The first
battles?
thing I wrote, I probably changed 100 times. um,
What were the insecurity battles or those inner critic voices?
for me, in overcoming life obstacles, there was certain things I felt I wanted to talk about, but I couldn't because certain situations, like certain examples I want to show people, but I can't mention identifying information, like say a patient scenario that did so phenomenal on my alternatives. Or for instance, my car accident, I wanted to talk about that, but sometimes you can't, when there's current legalities going on, outside of the book.
But did you have any doubts just in being able to write?
Mm, yes, of course. I think we all did. And yeah, I'm like, are people gonna like my story? Are they gonna buy my book? What are they gonna think of it? Are they gonna think like, whoa, she's out there? Yes, I am out there. Yeah, so you do wonder what the audience thinks, and are they gonna like it? Are they gonna want more? Are they gonna tell their friends? So,
And
and
how
it
did
has to come across in a way. When I first read my own chapter, I was like, oh, this sounds amazing, right? And because you know your story, so it makes sense to you, but you have to make sure it's going to make sense to someone reading it for the first time that doesn't know your background, so that was the harder part for me.
of having that objectivity?
And then in a compilation book, having to limit it to 2,500, 3,000 words, and be short and concise.
And how did you discipline yourself to finish the book?
Deadlines. I'm never late for a deadline. I always give myself extra time. And I think I learned this lesson in like elementary school. I waited to the very last day to do a really big project and my lights went out. And I couldn't see to do this collage of our dream board. And I was like, I'll never do this again. So I think it's important to give yourself extra time because there's going to be emergencies that come up. There's going to be a roof leak, a car accident, a friend that needs you. So you can't wait to the deadline. You're going to want to revamp it. You might want to show it to a couple of friends and ask them their opinion because they're going to give you more uncensored opinion. They don't know the whole story, so they'll see if it makes sense to them. So I'd say give it extra time. And then I gave myself extra time. I said, listen, I don't want to look at it for a few days. I need a clear mind. So I'm going to put it aside for a few days and then I'm going to go back to it. And I kept doing that every few days and tweaking it and seeing, was it within the word count and how many words can I eliminate? And I felt like when I was in elementary school or junior high, and it used to have to be so many words, your reports, I was adding in a lot of the and ands and a's. And now I'm like trying to cut out all the extra words because that 3,000, I can talk a lot and I had to condense it. So I would say put it aside for a few days, lock yourself in a room when you're going through it or outside, in nature or down at the beach. Turn your ringers off. Don't answer your Facebook Messenger and just focus on it. You'll get it done a lot quicker. And then put it aside for a few days, go back, maybe have a couple close friends eyeball it for you. Run it through Grammarly, spell check yourself. Mm.
And what did you learn about yourself through your creative process?
I noticed a lot of the co-authors in my first book, said the process was very cathartic and therapeutic and healing. And I had never thought about it like that. But I'm like, the more I'm hearing of my chapter and looking back and to see the struggles that I've been through and where I am today, I'm like, wow, I went through a lot. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I think we all need to do that sometimes, to look at our life as an outside perspective, looking in and say, whoa, I went through a lot. It's okay. You're doing good.
So in the act of writing it,
Outside as an outside.
it was a way to validate yourself and really give yourself credit. Is there anything that you discovered about yourself that you didn't know about yourself before you started writing or with your creative process?
A lot. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but I think that was good. I think that made the book because I went over everyone's chapter several times and re-edited and reformatted, and I italics certain things and bolded and centered. And, I think I gave it an art to the interior rather than just the words. And yes, perfectionism is not worth it. It takes too much time. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not. Sometimes 95% good is very good.
But is there anything new that you discovered about yourself through this process?
I like to write. I had no idea. I actually like to write.
And what do
And
you like about it?
I don't, it gets my message out. I think I have a lot to say. And also it's in print forever. So even after I'm gone, I feel that's a way to leave a legacy, especially I don't have children. So if you don't have children, this is your way to pass on your little lessons and your messages to the world, because what we have to say is important. Your life lessons might be so different than mine, and I can learn from your life lessons that I couldn't learn from my own.
And how do you access your courage?
I have no idea.
Do you think that you were born with it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I don't know where it comes from. I would think the more you do things and are successful, that's positive reinforcement. So it's like when you're a little girl and maybe you've had this, they say, oh, good job, and that gives you more confidence to do another school play. So I think it's positive reinforcement from, your own fan base that are like, hey, that's good, let's hear more. So I think the courage and the confidence come with time. I wasn't like this at all. I was that shy little kid that wouldn't talk. I don't
That's
know what
hard to
happened.
believe.
Yes, I know. I don't know when this happened.
And can you describe what your inner critic sounds like? Since you're
Oh, my inner critic is so harsh, and it's really harsh. If it was anyone else, I'd be like, wow, you did an amazing job. But me, I'm like, you know what could I have done better? And I did an interview yesterday with like the producer angling my camera and all this, and I was like, what could I like criticism, what kind of constructive criticism so I can learn and grow. What could I have done better? And they're like, no, you were amazing. And I'm like, please tell me something I can improve. So I'm always looking to improve. So I'm my own worst critic. It's good and bad. It makes me strive for more and more.
So you're really always motivated.
Not always. I want my lazy days once in a while. I think we need that to
You got to
recharge
be
our battery.
sustainable. But was there an inner critic that came up while you were writing? And how did you combat that?
Yes, I redid my entire chapter.
What was the voice? But it sounds like that was actually helpful.
Yes, it was very helpful. I think I was looking at my chapter from me that know the perspective of myself that knows the story. And then when I was like, wait a second, do other people that don't know me and my background, are they going to understand exactly what I'm going through? So I had to go into a little more detail in certain points where, you ever have someone that talks to you and say, oh, David said this, and you're thinking like, who is David? And they assume you know who David is, right? And sometimes when we write our book, we do the same thing. We're just assuming the reader knows the background, and they don't. So I think it's good to try to picture yourself as an outside reader that doesn't know you, and are they going to understand the message? And what is the message? Is there a message? And is it strong enough where it's not drowned out by all these other details that are not relevant. Like if I want to say New York is beautiful weather, summertime, I'm not going to get caught up in the details of what time it is and the date it is, and, and other things that aren't relevant because it might distract from my message.
So you figured out a lot. So everything that you're saying are a lot of things that I always say to my students and clients, because when we're writing autobiography, it's impossible for us to be objective because we have the whole movie in our head and we can't tell sometimes where the blind spots are and what does the reader, the audience need to hear. So it sounds like you came up with a really good organic editing process of
It's like
clarity, distillation, message.
if you're on the stage, right, and you can't see what other people are seeing, so you might think it looked really good or really horrible, and then your friends in the audience can give you a different perspective of it. And I think a book is the same thing when we're writing it versus showing it to a couple of friends where they can edit it more objectively. Because
And
we might think, oh my God, we were really good, right? And
but
maybe we
that
weren't.
workshopping, because the person that's going to read it does not know you, and you always have to make that assumption. They don't know anything about you. So wonderful that also that you got support by doing that, because I think it's so important for support and encouragement. So my final question to you is, what advice do you have for someone who wants to create something that really matters to them and that they know it's going to be shared publicly?
Okay, one, sorry if your name is Debbie. Don't listen to those Debbie Downers, okay? I learned, do not listen to people less successful than you about their business advice, okay? So a lot of the naysayers, if they're not as successful as you want to be, or as you are, you might not want to listen to them as much. You might, because sometimes I find people trying to give me business advice are a lot less successful than me. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. If your business isn't successful, why would I listen to you? So don't listen to the negative Debbie Downers, the naysayers. There's going to be a lot of people that don't like what you do and they don't like what you say. That's fine. We don't need them. There's billions of people in the world. I don't know how many. All you need is a couple good thousand fans and that's it. And if you look at all the most successful people in the world, if they listened to everyone else, they wouldn't have accomplished and thought outside the box, right? Christopher Columbus, everyone's like, the world's not round, you're crazy. Sir Richard Branson, right? You can't send men to the moon and women to the moon, and he did it. If he had those people, if they had listened to the naysayers, they would have just been normal, ordinary people. So I think you have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results, and just think outside the box. Christopher Columbus did, Sir Richard Branson, and I was on a Zoom with him a few months ago. That was so amazing. Weren't allowed to record it though, so I can't. But that was so amazing. I mean, so
So
don't
you have
listen to,
arrived, Shana.
yes, don't listen to the Debbie Downers, the naysayers. Keep going at it. Get other people's perspective. Listen to people that are more successful than you are, than you want to be. Um, if you have a strong enough why and desire, you can make it happen. Just don't only listen to that positivity. Just have a filtered ears. They talk about filtered mouth, but sometimes we have to have filters on our ears. We need them both ways, in and out.
Thank
And do
you.
it. And I would recommend this. Start off with a compilation book like I started off with, right? Because it's a way, you only have to write one mini chapter. You get your story heard, you get your feet wet, see all the ins, the outs, the editing, the publishing, how it works, how to market it. And then in the future, if you want to write your own book, you learn how to do it correctly from, doing it in pieces. A book can take years and your life fortune. Why do that? Why not do a multi-author book where you're chipping in one chapter, you're chipping in towards the cost. 20-something authors are driving it up to a bestseller. It's more likely to be a bestseller as a multi-author book as well, because we're all helping each other up. So start with a multi-author book.
Okay, thank you for the very wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Shana, for being my guest on Conversations to Inspire. Shana will put in the comments if you want to connect with her. If you are interested in being an author in her next Overcoming Obstacles series,